My name is Keil. Thanks to have the chance speaking in front of such a great audience today. Let me start with a joke. I actually wanted to start with a joke about the cruise. Everyone knows that there was a crypto cruise going on, but I'm not talking about this. I'm having another joke for you. A guy running around in the desert and always hitting his head, and another one is coming by and seeing it, and he's full of pain and still hitting himself with this metal thing on his head, and then he asks him, why are you doing this? And then he says, you know, it's just so cool when the pain releases. So, and actually this is the same when I'm talking about crypto. Sometimes I just see people banging their heads with some metal piece, just, yeah, get rid of pain. And so, my topic, pain point of crypto. And actually I'm not going to talk about whitewashing exchanges. I'm not talking about scam ICOs. I will not talk about the speculants about pumping and dumping. I have something for you more on the, let's say, the surface. I'm not going very technically. I think on the tech stage you have enough possibilities to listen about POW, proof of work, POS, proof of stake, and other consensus models, and what is good regarding to scalability and what is bad. I would like to pay attention to actually soft facts which turns into hard facts. And we have 6 categories: customer experience, which is actually king. Second, business adoption, having a working business model, paying attention to security, not security like my speaker before, but I mean the real security, cybersecurity, something about legal stuff I will tell you, and last but not least about interoperability. Let's start with the very first, with customer experience, and actually all these 6 parts, I will have a look into the past, I will have a look to today, and I will also try to draw a line into the future. When we talk about customer experience, I think you all agree this is the most important aspect of cryptocurrency and of the success of cryptocurrencies. I don't know whether someone of you already executed, for instance, a smart contract. Did someone on Ethereum executed it? No one? Just believe me, it's hell. I did it the first time 2 years ago, and actually my CTO needed to tell me where I have to click and what I have to choose. When we compare the blockchain and the crypto space to back then 2000, it was the same. There was internet coming up, no one thought about it is needed, everyone said we don't need it. And now even my grandmother, my mother is using it. Unfortunately my mother not, but they are using it without that they know about TCP or HTML and anything like that. They just use it. And this is what is user experience. And when we look back to what it was, I mean, there was no understanding and also no understanding of the potential of this technology before. We have seen that there was difficulties with Bitcoin. There was no possibility in the beginning to actually exchange Bitcoin. You just could mine it. I tried back then in 2010, installed this program, command line showing stars whenever it's doing something overnight. He didn't find any Bitcoin. I undeleted it and forget about Bitcoin for the next 6 years, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm here. There was a problem, of course, there's still a problem with the private keys, and we know that the shops didn't accept it. So it was something for the nerds, something for, for the anarchist dreamers, let's say so. Back then also the first Bitcoin transaction was done in 2010. Maybe you know, it was the pizza deal. Back then, before, when the pizza was bought, it was 0.001 cent per Bitcoin. Right a week after the pizza deal was done, Bitcoin jumped up to 0.08 cent. How it looks now? It's still difficult actually for you as a normal user to run a full node. Mostly you won't need it to exchange and to pay with crypto. We see that there embarks more and more crypto wallets on the mobile phone. We see exchanges, more than 500 pieces, decentralized, centralized. We see shops, big shops, like where you can buy your flight tickets, where you can buy your car, for instance, are taking crypto already into account, and you can pay with it. And And yes, we still have the problem, I told you, I won't go into details, we still have problems with throughput, with scalability, transaction fees are very high, and you need to wait maybe 2 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour until a transaction is fulfilled. How the future will look like is, of course, a little bit different. We see more and more professional software engineers also coming into the business, which understand about UI, which understand about customer experience, and we see improvements when it comes to using the technology. We will also have a clear understanding of our identity. We will have a digital identity which will be tokenized. We will see a possibility to make cross-coin payments. What does it mean? It's about interoperability. I will talk a little bit later maybe. And for sure we will see more and more wider usage of cryptocurrencies, and we also will see that businesses integrate blockchain not only to streamline their business processes, but actually use it as a currency. Let's have a look to business adoption. What does a technology bring us if businesses are not adopting them? Not at all. And so it was. I mean, I'm the VP of marketing at Infopulse with 1,800 engineers here from Ukraine working outside for EU, America, Northern EU. And we came in 2015 and we faced this situation. There was no skilled developers, there was no consulting at all, no knowledge available, only nerds understood what is going on. The first Bitcoin conference actually here in Europe was in 2011 in Prague. Things have changed. We see business adoption. We see business adoption from startups doing their ICOs. Whether they're legit or not is another topic. We see companies using blockchain technology, whether banks, to streamline their business processes, where before paperwork was taking 30 days, it takes now up to 5 days. We see tokenization of assets. People are talking about making things that before was in a paper, putting it on a digital ledger. And we also see that the implementation of the technology is getting more complex. On the left-hand side, I said I'm not talking about ICOs, but I want to start about startups at least. And you see that you also have a quite interesting separation of where these blockchain startups come from. And yeah, hell, North America is leading. Nevertheless, even Ukrainian startups are sometimes counted to be America because they start here and then they register over there, and unfortunately they're leaving the country. How it looks in future, I mean, one view you can find when you have a look here, whether it's data protection, e-commerce, trading, supply chain, healthcare, digital identity, or transportation, you see big brands are adopting this technology, and actually the technology becomes mainstream. So to summarize maybe this business adoption, we see 3 main movements. First, the usage of a currency. We already have this. Second is streamlining of business processes. It's taking place. Industries, enterprises are adopting. And the third one is the tokenization of assets, of actually any asset. Also here I have a little graphic. Yeah, the presentation is quite bad, but it also shows you some adoption process. I mean, Apple, for instance, everyone knows. PayPal, what is this? Airbnb Pay. So there are a few, Samsung Pay. So there are a few payments, and somewhere in the middle is also crypto. And then what does it mean? Already adopted, will think about adoption in the next 2 to 3 years. We are far away of making a decision, and we won't. And then you see, I mean, Apple Pay just came to Ukraine a month ago, yeah, through Private 24. So you see, we need time. That's it, right? Working business model. I mean, that's the most crucial part, and I'm Yeah, I'm actually not wondering, because I see that humans are doing the same mistakes on and on since thousands of years, and the same is with the working business models. And sometimes I ask myself, have we forgotten about the back then, 1990, 2000, when there was the dot-com boom, right? A lot of startups came up. Again, everyone said we don't need the internet. What for, right? But anyway, you don't stop innovation, and so you didn't stop back then the 2000 dot-com phase. But what we saw was they came up, newbies, people with no experience about enterprise, about how to do businesses, but having a good idea. They got money, like with the ICOs now. But because they had no right business models in their back, they mostly got bankruptcy. What was it then? First they thought about, oh, we do something really cool on internet and every user who is using our platform will pay for it. Yeah, nice try. No one wanted to pay for service. Are you willing to pay for services that you use on internet? Rarely, only if you have some real value out of it. Then they came up with the second business model. Okay, users are not paying, let's put commercials, banners, all that stuff, and this will pay off. Everyone is coming to our platform and the commercials will pay us off. In the end, also, nice try, it didn't work out. Only those which had real reliable business models, only those who understand how to connect the new economy with the old economy had actually the standpoint to go further, like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and so on. And yeah, there is some nice statistics. I will have also a diagram later on. Actually, already today, 92% of the projects started in blockchain already failed, or they're just death. And it is what we have. In the beginning, they just sold a white paper. And then they came up and said, no, we already have an MVP and we can show that actually our token economy is somehow working. But to be honest, no one really has a token in economy for the big scale. And we will still see the right business models coming up. Also, there is a complete different understanding of how businesses and a business model should work in a centralized economy and how businesses should work in a decentralized economy, right? In a centralized economy, we all know we have our employers, we have our office, we have our infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we pay taxes. In decentralized, we don't have employers, we don't have offices. Yeah, I mean, in the best way of decentralization, right? How it looks now? This ecosystem is still immature. We see that different industries, not startups, but actually already industry leaders come up to integrate the blockchain technology. And actually what they do is they just transform their existing business into the new understanding. Yeah, the ICO hype of scam projects for money collection is more or less over, thanks to that. Volatility is a big problem for business models. Just imagine that someone is giving a service and the service costs 1 token, right? Today the token costs $1 and after a year the token costs $5 and you don't know about it. So how an enterprise or how a business can make its calculations, how they can make their budgets if there is this volatility? They can't. So some startups changed and understood, okay, so we maybe have to fix our services in fiat, but you can pay with token. Is this a working business model? I still doubt it, because then you still can pay with fiat. What for then paying with the token? We see a lot of POCs and MVPs. Also, Infopulse has done a lot of those things, and in future we actually will see. This was what I said before. These 92% of all projects that failed, and here you have a graphic from showing GitHub, right? And you see that there are 86,000 projects available. Of those 86,000 projects, in the end, only 8% survived. How can you say so? Because GitHub, it's a storage for source code, for this what makes your app working. And in the moment that a software changes, you also update your code. And the code you update over there to GitHub, right? And if you don't update your code, so you don't have progress, it means most probably a project died. Okay, and of course the future is bright. We see big businesses, Maersk, IBM. We see Daimler. Daimler has their first loan management for their employers put on the blockchain, working, using. And of course, which is very important, blockchain will also streamline the government. And maybe this is even the best approach for us, because the first thing that we should fix as a society is our government, not only in Ukraine, by the way. Security. Security is obscurity, but without we can't, because those tools, those software, those blockchains, they will keep data of yourself, personal data. They will keep data about transactions. They will keep data about any kind of value. And so we need to protect them. I also have a graphic about this I will show later, but I want to make the standpoint already now, how it was and how it's unfortunately still. The first blockchain projects were developed by script kiddies. So by people that just use scripts, by people which were not in a university or not understanding how a software development lifecycle is going on. What means to make quality assurance of a product, what means to make an audit, what means to make an alpha version, what means to give it out to a bright audience to test it before you go public. And actually the result out of it is what we have seen. Yeah? We have seen unsecured central exchanges, we have seen wallets that had bugs, and those bugs were used by hackers to take away your wealth. Developers didn't understood legal aspects which were important, and no matter that we have a client side and a server side, actually security in the very beginning was, even everyone says blockchain is secure, blockchain per default by itself is not secure. It all depends on the human factor, and if the human is not good enough to write good software, then you fail. How it looks now, it got a little bit better, but not much, because we still have hacks like Parity or DAO or anything else, but we see maturity. We see doctors, professors more and more getting into the technology, putting their brain into the software to the benefit of you. We see encrypted wallets, we see hardware wallets, storing of your crypto not somewhere on an exchange, but on a ledger, on a kind of smart USB device which you can put on your pocket. And the future will be even better, I hope. Maybe we get rid of centralization. Maybe we can get rid of centralized exchanges. It helps in different perspectives. First of all, it removes the single point of failure. Yeah? What I mean is, if you just have one server on all these exchanges running, it's quite easy to hack. If the software is running on a decentralized system, you actually need not only to hack one server, you need maybe to hack more servers. And we also will see that you actually no more maybe will handle your private keys. You know what is a private key, yeah? This long digit kind of password thing. Actually, we see that also those private keys will become decentralized. Yeah? So you can actually already now, there are some, it's still in POC state, but there are companies like Zencash or like IOHK with Cardano, which are thinking about actually distributing the key itself. So taking the key, the private key, putting it into particles, and then spreading the particles over the net, over the nodes. Yeah? So not you are holding the private key, not a single server is holding your private keys. It's actually decentralized. You just have a seed information which helps you to round robin the nodes and get back the particles to create your private key and access your funds. Legal framework, about this we also need to speak, because this is the most, how to say, two sides of one coin. For some people, it's the most annoying thing that can go on. For others, it's the best whatever can happen. I actually are, yeah, please don't hit me, but I'm more the second guy. I like regulations to some extent because we are humans, and there where are humans, there is scam going on. And if we don't have regulations, we are getting scammed on and on and on. And I just don't like this. I would like to see the technology evolving. I would like to see that more and more people are using it. So that's why regulations are good. It was the way that there was no regulations, no legal expertise, and no services around it. Nowadays, you can already see in Ukraine you have Justukum, a very good company, judicial law company working in this sphere. You have Gordon Einstein, you have seen today, who's talking about SEC and how to apply correctly in America. So it is evolving, the legal factor is evolving from the perspective of getting educated, getting consulted, but also from the perspective that you have boundaries in which you freely can move. Yeah, I don't need to go into details about what's going on in Europe. We know about the Germans. Germans are, I'm by the way not American, like written on the website. I'm German.
Jan, you have 5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't need more 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So Germans are very careful always, kind of pedantic, to be honest. That's why I left Germany, actually. But anyway, in Germany, crypto was regulated from the very first. Even Germans didn't know about blockchain. They already had it in their laws, right? The Americans now try to adopt it. They have their SEC. China completely bans ICOs because they in general say this is crap and scammy. But still they allow blockchain technology to evolve. So don't stop about going to China. Still it's possible to present your startup. Just don't do an ICO over there. I told you about this secure software development lifecycle. This is actually how it looks like. A software engineer should know about this to develop good software. It starts with the requirements, gathering security requirements. It goes on when you design the product to think about a risk assessment, what could happen when. It goes further in the implementation, that there is always a 2I principle or more I principle. Someone is writing code, another one is auditing it, checking it. It's about verification, conducting the risk assessment review that you have done before. It's about releasing the software, doing a security review before you do it, and so on and so forth. This is standard. Software is developed since 20 years based on this paradigm. And in blockchain, they just don't apply it yet. Or did not. They do it more and more. Future, yeah, worldwide regulations, face it, it is this way. Maybe an island, Malta, maybe not, but maybe Coco Island won't go into regulation, we don't know. But face that blockchain technology, especially cryptocurrencies, will become regulated. Yeah, interoperability as a last moment, I mean, there are only two possibilities, and I don't say that I'm a maximist, but there are two fronts. One says there's only Bitcoin, nothing else is needed. All the rest, they call it the altcoins, they call it shitcoins, maybe you've heard, right? So one group says there's only the need of one coin. I don't think so. I think there is a need for more than just one coin. Let be Bitcoin the store of value, and let's have more coins that help you to interoperate, to communicate, to not receive commercials, and so on and so forth. But what does it mean? It means if we have a lot of coins, a lot of tokens, we also need to create a possibility to make them compatible to each other. Otherwise, you would have 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or thousands homogeneous systems which don't communicate with each other. And then you actually create silos, yeah? You create, value within one row, but don't share the value over the ecosystem. And this will change, and we also see this change coming up. Maybe you have heard about atomic swapping, ICOs that started to fundraise with Ethereum, and then they say, we create our own blockchain. Oh, stop a moment, you develop your own blockchain with your own tokens. What do I do with the ERC20 tokens that I bought from you? Therefore, they use atomic swap. So they will interchange your Ethereum tokens to the new blockchain token which they create. Another thing that we also see regarding to interoperability is how it is built now. If you see, at the moment, apps are more or less built for a niche. D-Market, for instance, they think about exchanging crypto for skins in the gaming industry, right? So they do one development, one app, exchange skins, right? Another one has its own app, another one has its own dApp, another one has its own dApp, and they all create everything from the bottom to the krisha, to the roof from scratch, right? And we will see, and it is coming over, that we have integrated dApp landscape where we have networks, where we have infrastructures, where we have intermediate protocols, and where we also have the app layer, which then actually makes the customer experience happen. The future is bright. I already said, cross-currency payment allowed, cross-network bridges possible, smart oracles will be there. Oracles, if you know what it is, if you don't, I explain. Smart contracts, they react on some inputs. Yeah, I mean, let's say you want to sell a car, yeah, and then if the smart contract needs to understand that physically the car moved from one owner to the other owner. So somehow you need to give the input to the smart contract, yes, I got what I have to receive, please pay out the money. How I explained now, it's a manual way, right? That for actually comes Oracle. So when there is a certain temperature reached, automatically you get this input from weather.com and the smart contract will be resolved. This is what is meant with oracles. And they also need to get smart because they are a single point of failure, right? And we see, of course, the integration into certain applications. She said, I have 5 minutes left, this is over, and normally I have this slide in the beginning of my speech. I was talking about business adoption of blockchain, I was talking about investment, I was talking about a lot of different talks over the last 3-4 years, and I always use this slide. But in the beginning, now I'm using it in the end because I already gave you some knowledge, some understanding, and now let's go together. And before, all the other times I just read it, but I give you now also additional explanation. First they ignore you, then they laugh about you, then they attack you or hate you, and finally you win. And if we would try to adopt it to the blockchain crypto world, then actually we have the same. Back then in 2009, when this anarchistic dream came to life, that we can get rid of all centralized government, centralized regulations. There was the first cryptocurrency, but no one really heard about it, just nerds. So that could be the ignore state. Then they laugh about you. I mean, isn't it funny? Someone just makes a piece of software and then like falling from the sky, some tokens are generated and you can exchange them for real fiat? That's the laugh situation, actually. Something falling from the sky, you can exchange to fiat. Isn't that funny? Yeah. And then also backed by the community of crypto enthusiasts, more cryptocurrencies coming in, we slowly move to this area, to the third phase. Regulation stepped in because of pump and dump games. People lost their money. Traders got hated. Those that write regulations got hated. Those that make money got hated. So we are somewhere here. And I hope that the win phase we will see, we are starting to see with the business adoption enterprise. I told you IBM with Hyperledger or Maersk, which are already implementing it for their container provisioning. I mean, in the end, we will win. And with this, I would like to thank you for your time and listening to me. I hope I brought you some values on the higher surface.